What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of After the Buzzer. My name is Chris Brown, joined by my good friend and co-host Eric Hastings. We just got finished recording the main episode of Game Tape Rewind, where we discussed our favorite NFL memories. And if you haven't listened to it yet, highly recommend it. We had a lot of fun just strolling down memory lane. For both of us, we had some good memories to share. But for this episode of After the Buzzer, we're talking about the origins of our NFL watching fandom.
Yeah, so basketball. We had a good chance to explain why that meant so much to us and where that came from, and football is not too far behind. So for me, I just didn't adopt any of my households, fandoms of any kind. Again, where I grew up, it's just not really a thing for not everybody, at least. So my mom's a Philly girl. She was, grew up there, so she's Eagles. My brother's Eagles, and my dad was a Bears fan and loved the 80s, Bears and all that stuff. So they have their battles still to this day, but just like a lot of things I didn't adopt, one being the football team. So I wasn't a football player. Very easy to see that if you can just find any picture of me.
You could be a punter.
I could be a kicker, a punter. That's right. I was a decent soccer player. I could have done that. But yeah, so I just didn't take to football because my dad didn't want me to get absolutely smashed.
Fair.
But I grew up liking the Chargers. I thought that they were so fun. That kind of West Coast offense with Norv Turner. They just had this high octane offense every year. I thought Philip Rivers was kind of the coolest guy for me to get behind in terms of a captain. He talked so much trash, and me being early middle school, as a young boy, what young boy doesn't like someone who talks a lot of trash, I guess, and an athlete. And I just stuck with that core. And if you really think about it, that core of LaDainian Tomlinson, Philip Rivers, and Tuna Gates, Sproles, particularly Gates and Rivers, I mean, that was like over a decade. I mean, those guys were like still going. Philip Rivers
Prolific,
is still
yeah.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the most prolific tight end quarterback combo ever, at least in terms of longevity. And so for me, again, not because of necessarily from family or proximity to other teams, I just took to them because I thought, well, their jerseys were so cool. I think the powder blue are still the coolest NFL jerseys in history. Still is my vote for that. Maybe we could do that again, the jersey situation. But yeah, I just love that team. And, when they moved out of San Diego, I kind of got a little disheartened and didn't feel like the same team. So I kind of cheat a little bit and kind of root for the Seahawks for the past 4 or 5 years since I've been to Seattle. I've actually seen the ring that they won and all that in the
Nice.
museum there. So, I cheat on the side. I dabble a little bit here. They're kind of like my mistress, but yeah, that's kind of the origin of the Chargers. I just thought they were so cool and I stuck with them, and that's how it's gone.
I mean, sometimes it's just a matter of you liking who you like, and
Yeah,
that's all
that's
there
what
is
got
to
me
it.
into football. It wasn't a particular event. It was just like these guys are cool and their jerseys are cool, and that's how it's gonna go.
I respect that. I think the origins of mine were similar to yours. Actually, the first game that I ever recall having a memory of happening was the Packers Broncos Super Bowl in the 90s, the one that Brett Favre won. Um, but the game that I think drew me the most into the NFL was Super Bowl 34 with the Titans against the Rams. And that was Greatest Show on Turf versus Music City Miracle. And to me, again, it was the same thing. I mean, I was young enough where I was like, the Titans have a cooler color jersey. They had similar powder blue. They had the cool little flaming decal on the helmet. And the team was so fun that I was just rooting for them in the Super Bowl. And aside from it being such a great game and Kurt Warner going nuts and Eddie George running wild, and Steve McNair, Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, all these guys who are basically legendary
Legends.
players.
Yeah.
And then you get down to the final play of the game. It's honestly an iconic moment where Kevin Dyson reaching the ball out, trying to cross the goal line as time runs out, coming up a half yard short. And, 7-year-old me was devastated. in a game, in a sport that I previously had no interest in. And so then, the next year the Giants, my hometown team, made the Super Bowl and got crushed by the Ravens. uh at that point I was hooked. So then the following year when the Rams came back around, I was the biggest non-New England Patriots fan you would probably ever find, because I wanted revenge on the Rams beating my Titans team. My being a very loose relative term. Um, and then from there, it's just been something that I've enjoyed watching and getting into since. I didn't play organized football growing up either. Mostly just pick up touch football at the school with a bunch of friends. So that was never really a path for me. But following the teams that were at the time really good in the local area were always pretty entertaining.
Yeah, that's something I kind of miss about youth is high school football or going to the games and stuff. It was the place to be. Growing up, especially at least for me in a small town, not much to do. It's either you go up to Walmart or you go to you go to the football game. You take your choice, or you can do both if you're
Yeah.
really up for a wild night. But yeah, same kind of way for us. We've led on that we were basketball kids growing up, and that's the way it was. But there is certainly in America an allure to football. There's no escaping it, and you kind of just have to participate no matter what as a sports fan, as obviously we are. And so it's had its ups and downs, but some of the ups have been incredible highs, and we've had a chance to talk about some of them just now in our episode.
Yeah, for sure. So again, listen to the main episode of Game Tape Rewind if you want to hear some of those stories. The next episode, we will talk about some of the downs and the ups and downs. So it's not all rosy, but for now, we appreciate you listening and watching this episode, and we'll see you next time.